Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. Hi, Julian. How are you?
Hello, good and you?
Great. So we might wait a little bit longer, 3 to 5 minutes, so everyone has time to join. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited, and especially for you to do this in English for all our English speakers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a pleasure for me too. Thank you for the invite.
No
I hope
problem.
that everyone will know better the tool and what Reelevant is capable of.
Definitely. So I'm pretty sure everyone knows the drill, but just in case and while we wait, if you have any questions, you have a question tab. So just shoot them through at any time, and if we can address them right away, we will. Or if we don't, we have time at the end for Q&A. And really, if you have any comments or would like to share anything, you also have the chat, and we welcome anything you might want to tell us. Maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. I see some more people joining. Okay. What I will do so we can kind of start, but give a bit more time to those who might come in, is do a little bit of housekeeping of what the plan is for today. So for those who are not yet familiar with our solution, I'll give you a quick intro, and then we'll have Julian give you a bit of context about his organization, and then he'll tell you and share his experience on why he chose to work with us, and show you a few concrete use cases and the results that we got. And we also prepared a live example for you, and then finally we'll have time for some questions. And I think we might be able to start soon. Um, yes, let's just kick it off and start with introductions. Do you want to tell us more about your role and your mission at L'Oréal Luxe, Julien?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Julian. Hi, everyone. I'm in charge of CRM for the L'Oréal Luxe division. So it's more about managing all the brand campaigns, the email campaign that all our brands of the Luxe division are sending. So you will see later, but the Luxe division is more than 10 brands, and I only work for 8 of them, mostly for 8 of them. Lancôme, Yves Saint Laurent for the well known, and yes, that's practically it.
Great. So on my end, I'm sales and partnerships manager. So my role is both the sales side and also to create relationships with all those other solutions that you guys use to make your email marketing campaigns happen. And I will go on then. I think we might have most of the people now. Okay, so to give you a quick intro of our solution, we started the solution in 2017, and actually preparing that webinar, I realized that your team, Julien, started working with us that same year,
Yes.
which really shows just how innovative and in advance you guys were in terms of personalization and all overall your personalization strategy at the time in 2017. So quick intro, we really started to create the solution because we noticed that marketers were spending a lot of time, efforts, and budgets to create content for emails, but that overall they seem to be underperforming with only 10% reactivity rates for all sectors. So if you guys want to, some of you want to share your reactivity rates, maybe some of you have some great ones, you can share them in the chat. But overall, what it really means is that when you convince 10 people to open your messages, you only have one person who clicks and 9 that actually don't interact with your content. So at the time, that seemed really outrageous to us, given all of the efforts that were put into making that content. And so where we stand is that there are a few problems with content. The first one being that it is very static, and that creates problem because even before you send your messages, it's kind of already outdated. So going a little bit back to the process, you usually build your messages days, sometimes weeks prior to sending. And that means that at least for some of your openers, you are going to display content that's not always up to date. So that's sometimes a product that's out of stock, sometimes it's an offer that's passed because it was very short. And in the long run, even if those occur times to times on bases that have thousands, sometimes millions of consumers, it has a great impact. And so the other thing is building your content prior and sending it, and then see what's going to happen, also keeps you from being able to adapt to the context of your openers. And so another thing that we notice is that when trying to fix that, so when trying to personalize to perform better, most of the time we segment. So we create groups of people and subgroups, and we try to find content that fits the interest of each group. The problem with that is that you very quickly become dependent on targeting. The more precise you want to be, the more groups you create, and then the more content you need to build, and you can't really keep up with that amount of content production. So you can't scale to the amount that you'd like to reach in order to reach that high level personalization. And so finally, when we say boring, it's no one's fault. It's just that the email is very generic and very standardized. And it's not the case for other media. So when people are on websites, they have very unique, very personalized, very individualized experience. And when they're on social media, it's the same, but then they go to their emails, and it's pretty it's pretty boring. So it's hard to get to that emotion, to get to that extra step that actually makes people interested in what you have to say, not only because it's of their interest, but also because it corresponds to the time they're reading it. So all that said, we create a solution that completely switches that whole experience from what we were saying before, a push experience. I build my content, I send it, and I'll see what happens, to a pull experience. So the consumer, when opening your messages, they're asking for content, they're requesting information. The key moment here is really the moment of opening to us, because that's the moment that the consumer is requesting information, but it's also the moment when you have all of the data that you wished you had before when you were building your content. So what we do is we take that data. So it could be client knowledge data, it could be contextual data with the weather or the location of the opener, it could be price, it could be stock, it could be your last browsing. Anything we can get our hands on, we can use. And then we're going to transform this data into visual content on demand at the time of opening. And the solution Reelevant really has a client logic. So the way we build that content on demand is with a client logic that obviously helps our client to create a unique experience, and in the long run to convert more and better. So I think what's interesting with that said, Julian, is we kind of always say at Reelevant that there are 3 reasons why people work with us. The first one is getting more conversion. The second one is automating content creation. And the third one is creating an experience. And working with you on this webinar, I realized, like, first of all, we really tackle all of them working together. But what's interesting is that you guys really came to us for the creating an experience part.
Yes, that's true. When we started working with Reelevant, we really had the goal to really personalize our brand communication. To, as you said, email became obsolete, and we really wanted to in my team to really change the email landscape and start working on really personalization. And I know your CEO likes the word individualization. Individualization. So
Yeah, I'm
promoting
about
and
to get in trouble, I think.
and yeah, giving context to a more individualized way. So that's what we try to achieve with Reelevant. And to give you a little bit of context the group, the L'Oréal group. So Lubomira Rocher, when our chief digital officer at the board level, she faced to create a digital strategy for the whole group in all countries with the beauty landscape, which is more than 100 brand in each market. So she defined a frame, which is the frame 2050-100, which is a frame which fits for all countries with all brands of the group. So it's more than 40 brands for the L'Oréal group. The 20% means 20% turnover on e-commerce, so versus the retail part. 50%, and that's why we choose Reelevant, is 50% of all our consumers should be targeted one to one and personalized. Each communication should be personalized to 50% of our consumers, which is a huge challenge. And it's 50%. And as L'Oréal is the first beauty company in the world, it's quite a challenge to achieve to this figure. And the 100% love brand is more about how to engage and to make our consumers engage with our social media. So this was the frame defined by Lubomira Rocher, and the last part I didn't tell you is in 2017 when she started the frame, there were not dedicated CRM headcounts. So when I first arrived, I was one of the first CRM manager for the Royal Group. So it was quite a challenge to start working in this environment and to start focusing on this goal to this 50% on consumer targeted. So this was the first thing. Sorry, I wanted to share with you and to give you a little bit more on the context of the L'Oréal Group. Yeah.
Yeah, so a little bit more on the context. Can you kind of explain what initiated that drive to work on email at a high level of personalization?
Yeah, so as I said, when I arrived in the group, everyone was telling me that email is becoming obsolete. Why did you start working on CRM? There are so many things, so many innovation going through all the social media and stuff like that. So I was not on my side really interested about working on social media, but most of all, I was thinking that email was not dead. I think everyone thought that email was really a static content. Nothing could be changed. You cannot interact with an email, but the most part is starting working with all the actors on the email landscape, I would say, and Reelevant was one of them. So that's why we started working with you, because the solution is really based on every kind of data you want to use in order to personalize the content. So you can use contextual data, the weather, the geolocation, the timing also. You can use your own CRM data, which is great because you can personalize differently with buyers, prospects, if they are members of your loyalty program, whatsoever, and you can use any kind of data to personalize your communication. And then you think that creating segmentation, as you said before, is good, but how do you tackle the way that you have to give them the right content for them to continue to, for sure, buy your product, but still engage with them? And that was the goal that we wanted to achieve back to 2017. So this is great that we started working with you on that, and you will see later. But the figures and the results of our collaboration are really improving. So this is great.
Okay, the big question. Um, yeah, I'd love to kind of hear the parts where we were a good fit in order to achieve those those objectives. I know that one of the big part of the success of this collaboration is because the result is great, but also it works internally with your teams. So I'd love to hear more about that part.
Yeah, sure. So as I said, and I will repeat on this part, but Reelevant is really a tool to have a high level of personalization, and the fact that the word individualization is a good word is you will give the content, the right content to each individual. So which means that for you, Leah, your the content will be different as me. It will be different if I was at the same age, or maybe have the same purchase behavior that I would have on CRM. But if I am in Lyon or in Paris or in New York, maybe the content will be different. So it's really based where you will open your email and what you've done before and what kind of data we have on you to personalize this email. So which is great. And the solution fits with the L'Oréal group because it's a tool in the hand of a business profile like me. So I'm not a tech profile. I'm not going through any kind of campaign management tool like Adobe that we use today. And we used to, before Reelevant, do all the segmentation and all the personalization through Adobe. But Adobe is really a good tool for doing it, but you need a tech team, really IT profiles to work on it. And you can imagine that having a Adobe tool which is working for a lot of brands, a lot of countries, you will need a tech team which is really impressive, or maybe any kind of agency. So even L'Oreal, it was not a good way to address this part. So this solution was really in the end of business profile, and the way we could do personalization by this tool was better than using Adobe. And you can do much more on Reelevant than Adobe. I will talk on that later, but it's for sure a intuitive platform. It's really user friendly when you go through the tool. Um, if you want to train an apprentice or an intern, you will easily do it, and he will be really independent to use the tool to create his own scenarios of personalization. So it's really good to do it. And as I said before, and as you said, Leah, also before, the objective is not about conversion only, because when you are working for a beauty company, it's also working on the branding and also on innovation to stand out in order to stand out on the beauty market. And as I said, there are many brands, many indie brands. We are using a lot this kind of words, but on each market, not only on the French market, all those brands are emerging from the beauty landscape. So that's why we needed to stand out with our brands for with this innovation tool.
Great, thank you. You're ready to get into the use cases?
Yes.
Awesome. Let's start with that one then.
Sorry. So yeah, the first one, it was for the Black Friday. So I think most of the companies are playing the Black Friday today, and there are many emails received by your consumers and by our consumers during this time. So how do you stand out from any other emails that you will receive today? So, and as you said, when you open the email, what will make you click, what will make you interact with the email? So we try to focus on three different scenarios. The first one is with Reelevant, we are able to personalize the email from people who abandon their cart on our website. So we are able to do it. So the first one, if we detect the fact that people are abandoning a cart during the last month, we will push the product that were left in the cart before. If they were not in this particular segmentation, in this particular targeting. The second one is if with our CRM data, we know that they were purchaser, not during the last month, but up to 1 month before, we were trying to create the replenishment that we were trying to do. So, for instance, for the brand Kills, you have the example here. If you were buyers of the ultra facial cream, we try to push, not we try, but push the same products with a promoted price, which is crossed out on the price side of the slide, in order to create this replenishment for them. So it was really personalized at the fact that there were buyers before, and this works fine. I will give you the figures later. And if they were not if they didn't do an abandoned cart, or if they were not purchaser, if they were prospects, we had this third kind of branch of the scenario, which were more a product combination. So the tool is able to, through an algorithm, to push 20 products into three blocks in order to create this personalization, and it will choose the best combination is clicked. I don't know if I was clear, but the tool is really trying to make an A/B test with different combination, and it will push the one which is the most clicked. I don't know if maybe Leah, you want to come back on
No,
this.
but I do have a question for you, but I think it's interesting. Well, it's very interesting how you show how we're just trying to find what's our best chance to trigger the interest of our openers. So obviously we use the freshest data you have, and that's really exactly what you do. And of course, there's always a big part of your base when you might not have information about last purchase or last browsing, and so it's a great tool to use real-time testing, or in this case product combination, to find in real time what products are actually getting you the most click. And that's good also to rely on for your team, I guess, because you know that it's going to be the products that are getting you the best results that are actually being displayed. So, but I did have a question. I was wondering, because this is something we often talk about, if you could share your experience in also using this type of scenarios of abandoned cart items into mass emails.
Yeah, so the fact that today, to remind to our people that the abandoned cart, it's sent most of the time in triggers, which is a shame, because a trigger is just a one-time email you will send, but there is no. We were thinking about pushing the content to our consumers also in our brand campaign, so the broadcast emails that we send. It is better because every time we will push an email, we will send generic content like I don't know, our bestsellers, for instance. But the fact that we have the info about the fact that he was about to buy a product is good for you to remind it every time you are in contact with him. So with this functionality, we are able to push the abandoned cart every time we are sending an email, and it's really personalized. For sure, if he has bought the product and we have the info, we will exclude them from the communication.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
for
that's a good
sure,
thing to remind everyone as
yeah.
well.
So this is a really good way to address those type of consumers or future consumers.
Cool. Yeah, it's definitely our opinion as well, that those are great to use on mass emails. A little word on results.
Yeah, so on the abandoned cart people, we had really great results. So 8 times higher on the reactivity rate, sorry, versus a generic content, and 4 times better for previous buyers. So as I said, the buyers that we wanted to drive to replenishment to buy the same product, but after the lifetime value, after sorry, the lifetime of the products.
Awesome. Thank you. If we have any questions, Feel free to ask. It will go on. Um, I'll let you introduce this one.
Yeah, so maybe you all know that we are able to engrave any kind of personalized content on our fragrances. If you go in store, even if you will buy a product online, the fact that we communicated on that feature for our consumers, we try to find a way to be the more impactful as possible on this one. And through Reelevant, you will be able to use an images and to put any kind of CRM data that you will have in your CRM database. For instance, for this one, we personalize the content with the first name of our consumers in order to have a bigger impact to them when we send the communication. And we have a 1.8 reactivity rate, more on this personalized content rather than a generic version with Merry Christmas in French. And I can share my screen to show you how easy it is to make this kind of personalization. Um, so up, here it is. So do you all see my screen? I think Leah, you can answer me.
Yeah.
So okay, you see my screen. So here it was the example of YSL, Yves Saint Laurent. If we didn't have any CRM data, any first name for the consumer we were targeting for this email, this was the generic first name that we will put in the email. Here you got the URL, which is generated in Reelevant, and here you have the personalized variable that you will have in your email. So if I just change this one by my first name, here it is. You see that the content has been personalized with the first name I put here. So if your CRM can send, and I'm pretty sure it will, send the first name info or any kind of CRM data you want to push, if it's I don't know, a product or anything you want to show directly into your content on your image, this CRM is going to send it to Reelevant, and Reelevant is going to interpret it and display it on the images, which was a great way, to promote this feature to our consumers. Up.
And I have two questions from Harvey. Thank you. And Giselle, I got your question as well. I'll go back on that. So on the question of two things, custom fonts. Yes, obviously you can upload your own fonts to use in the app and to use for all of your dynamic content. And Harvey was also asking if we can set a fallback font if we can render the customer's name. So obviously these are all things that you'll be able to set, whether it's having a full fallback if for example, in some cases you don't have a first name, or if you don't have any other data that you're using in this type of content, you can set up a full fallback. You can also set a written fallback, which would be something quite generic if for some reason you don't have a first name in the base or something like that. So yes to both, Harvey. Okay. Going to the next one then, on contextualizing a message.
Yeah, so this one is really interesting, I think. I was talking earlier about personalize our content with contextual data. So for this one is geolocation data. And it was when you opened the email and you were in an area which has bad weather, or it was rainy, cloudy. The content, sorry, was different, and it perfectly fits for L'Oréal brand. For instance, we sell a lot of sun care product, or products that are are used in order to prevent any kind of I don't know on all the environment. So meaning the weather and the sun and if it's rainy, if it's cold, any kind of those aggression your skin will prevent. So in this case, we tried to put the right products according to the weather that was in the area of the people who opened the email. For instance, on this case, we push some products with sun care protection for on people which were in the area when it was sunny, and on the other hand, for the people which were with the bad weather, it was more a generic content, more generic product for them. For this one, it was advanced genetic, but you can think about any other kind of personalization according to this geolocation data. For instance, on the other case that we didn't put here is drive to store, sorry, example for kids. For instance, we have a lot of boutiques, and if our contacts are less than 5 kilometers from the store, we will push Google Map blocks, which is going to redirect people to the store, which is the closest to this contact. So this contextual data are really great to dynamically personalize your email.
Thank you. Yeah, the use case you just talked about with the map and the store is definitely one that is killing it this year.
And the last one.
Yes, on temporality, and then we'll have a look
So
at results.
in this one, we had the idea for Lancôme for Cyber Monday to create a kind of a more engaging email for promotions. So with Reelevant, with the functionality of dates, the content that you will provide to your contacts when you will open, if it's between 9 and 12 a.m. or if it's between 12 and 3 p.m. In the afternoon, you will have different content. And we tried to push three different offers, I think it was, during this scenario, so during the day, sorry, in order for the people to really choose the offer they wanted. It was not cumulable from each other. So we really wanted them to open the email again. So 3 hours later, there were a sentence saying, "Yeah, just come back in the email in 3 hours, and you will have the new offers that will be shared." What they didn't know if it's that all the three offers were working at the same time. So if they wanted to use it between 9 and 12, they could. If they wanted to use it later in the day, they could. But for the consumer to just come back in the email, and it was really engaging for them just to open the email saying that, okay, maybe I will come back later because this offer does not fit with what I want. And they came back in the email. It was, I think, plus 50% of people who came back in the email, who opened it and interact with it. So it was quite good results. And this kind of scenario, we try to use it for the same kind of offers and promotions.
Yeah, that's a very cool use case. It's a big ask to ask your openers to come back to an email, but what's really cool is that they're really not used to seeing this type of content, and so it always has a huge impact. It's pretty impressive to come back and see something else, and there are lots of different ways to do that with different use cases. We do it with Christmas wish lists during Christmas and things like that. It's a lot of fun and creative ways to kind of think outside the box and propose something that's very, very different. So thank you for sharing. Great. In order to conclude, I would love to kind of have a global picture of, a before after snapshot of what your experience is with the solution. I Going back to one of the points we first started with, which is really, that you started in order to create an experience, and that's definitely happening. But then, I'm not sure that from the beginning we knew just how much it would impact you guys operationally.
I think it was when we start working with Reelevant, we didn't know where the tool could bring us, and
Mhm.
it it bring us. I lost my English, but for sure it brings us today in a really good way that we will tackle all the CRM objectives that we fixed today. So the first things I want to know is there is a huge impact on reactivity and conversion. And as I said, our two main objectives were increase reactivity our consumers to really work on branding and how to stand out from our competitors. So on this one, for any kind of blogs, for every time more reactivity on emails with relevant blogs in it, and also on conversion, which is the main focus that you will put on your CRM objective. But there is a plus 103% turnover generated per click on the emails with relevant, which is a massive and a huge achievement. I cannot share any other figures for any reason, but I'm not going to show you or to give you more details on this. But I think it can give you a good overview of what the tool is able of and capable of. And the other benefits before after is there is a really time saving on all the time you will use to produce to create content for your consumers. And this is not something you will put in the end of your agency anymore. So you will save some cost on that as well. You will save some time because it will be in your hand. And if you want to change the last time your content, you will be able to do it. You will have to provide only one HTML of your emails and not create eight version if you think about segmenting and targeting eight different types of population in your CRM database, you can create the scenario directly in Reelevant, and you will be able to personalize the content for each segment. And for sure, you will reduce the time of all the comebacks with your agency when you will have to change any kind of content after receiving a proof and saying, okay, I want to try to change the wording, or I want to change this kind of content for this population, because this is something you will be able to update even after sending a proof. So which is quite great.
Very cool. Thank you so much. Do I have any questions from you guys? On top of, so I had a question earlier on the prospect part. That was when we were showing you. That was a question from Giselle when we were showing you the scenario with the different branches, with one of them being the abandoned cart. And what Julian was saying about the prospect part was that when for the part of the base when they might not have customer data such as last purchase, to have them in the replenishment branch, or abandoned cart to have them in the abandoned product cart, then what they would do is use the real-time testing to test 20 products to find what would work best for that part of the base. So I hope that answers your question about the prospect part, if it wasn't clear. Any other questions? I have one here. How does the integration work with Adobe? So yeah, it's true that we haven't tackled how does it work at all, but we don't require any integrations for any ESPs. So we don't require one for Adobe or anything that you might be using. And in the same way, and this is the case for L'Oréal, actually, who their team uses a builder, it's going to be exactly the same. There's no integration necessary. You'll have two links, which you'll paste into your HTML code and send your message just as usual. So if you have a builder, usually that's when you do it. And if not, it's in your ESPs that you'll do the pasting and send your message just as usual.
I want to add that we selected some examples of what we can do with the tool, but there are many other functionalities that Reelevant is able to do. For instance, I think about the Instagram feature and the fact that you can display the last post on Instagram or your Instagram channel. Because we say at L'Oréal that your fans on your social media pages are not mainly your buyers, and on the other hand, your buyers are not the fan. So it's really good to create a kind of synergies between social media and CRM, because both are complementary, and the tool is able to do it. So we tried this one to promote our social media to our CRM database. So it works a lot, and there are many other features that Reelevant is able to do. So
Actually,
I really encourage you to take it.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah,
No.
I wanted to say that I really encourage you to discover more about what the tool is it's capable of.
I have one last question. How much time did it take to set up Reelevant?
I think it depends on what you want to do with Reelevant. For sure, it's really easy to start working with Reelevant right now. Like if you start, you don't have to set up any things, to create any flows of data. You will be able to use, I don't know how many percent, but I'm pretty sure like 80% of what you want to do with Reelevant right now, and the 20 last percent will be what you will be able to do on your side in order to feed Reelevant with CRM data, with navigation data. So any kind of data you want to use in order to personalize your contents. But for sure, Reelevant team has high reactivity on scaling and working on your project, and what you want to do. They will work on it, and they will arrive on the goal you want to achieve with it. So really easy.
Music to my ears. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Well, I think we are right on time, on schedule. Thank you, everyone, for coming. If you'd like to explore more, if you have more questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you again so much, Julian, for making this happen. It's a great opportunity for us to communicate in English for our English speakers.
It's good to practice sometimes.
Great. Thank you. We'll have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Have a
everyone.
good day. Bye.